From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is a Carolina Week election special.
We're back and the finish line is in sight. Two candidates have advanced to student body president runoff election this evening and the polls just closed. Good evening, I'm Landon Dowdy.
And I'm Delia D'Ambra. Last week, Andrew Powell grabbed 28% of the vote to make it to the runoff. Amelia Vicente, 41%. That was in a four-person race, but tonight, someone will win.
And while we wait for those results, let's take a look at the candidates' runoff campaign efforts. The snowstorm last week may have set them back, but they were still out full force this week trying to make those last-minute votes count.
And then there were two, Andrew Powell and Emilio Vicente. It's the call Powell's parents had been waiting for all night.
Andrew, that is wonderful. Congratulations. We are so excited.
Great job.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. I'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.
After campaigning in the pit, plastering signs all over campus, and advancing their platforms, election night resulted in a runoff. The fate of Powell and Vicente's candidacy boiled down to one final debate last night.
I fully believe we should be hearing more from all of you as Carolina students. The only way that we can effectively address some of the most pressing issues is by engaging you and the Carolina community.
We need a student government that is going to do something about these problems from day one. And that's what I think that I bring to the table, is I've put together some proposals that are ambitious, but they can make real progress on this campus.
Students packed inside the forum to hear the debate held by the Carolina Coalition of Voters. The group was formed just last week to give the candidates an audience to promote their platforms. Hatali Ladoya was a candidate in the running for student body president herself last year. Ladoya moderated the debate, which she says was meant to be a discussion to benefit both candidates.
It is really important, I think, to have just thought about other perspective, other ways of doing things. You might differ on some points, but other people have really, really great ideas, and you can learn a lot from them.
The event enabled Powell and Vicente to highlight their differences and encourage students to return to the polls. The room overflowed with students interested in hearing from the candidates on key issues such as affordability and sexual assault. And even Landon Gamble came out. You might remember Gamble from her highly publicized sexual assault scandal last year. Gamble supports Vicente in his approach on issues. Both previous student body president candidates Nikita Shamdasani and Winston Howes have endorsed Powell going forward. So what did the candidates do in the last few hours leading up to the final tally?
We're trying to talk to every single person we spoke to last week, making sure that everyone who voted for us last time votes for us again.
Powell and Vicente's dreams will come to a head tonight as both await the results of who will become the next student body president.
The coalition did not endorse a candidate, but they wanted them to have one more opportunity to campaign for the position.
And we'll shortly see if those campaign efforts worked out. They'll need 50% plus one to win the campaign tonight. But if we talk about those candidates, we're going to do a little bit more analysis with some people on desk, and we'll have more for you. Joining us and Stephanie Lopez, one of our reporters, is at the Board of Elections, but she'll be with us just a little bit later with some more news and updates. And joining us live now is Andy Willard, who is the university editor for the Daily Tar Heel, and you've been covering the election coverage this whole time. Yeah. There was a little bit of snow last week, kind of backed up some efforts for campaigning.
Yeah, I think that messed up some of their plans.
Yeah, how do you think they're going to deal with that?
Well, I would say it would have been a problem, but this new debate that they had last night that y'all were just talking about, I think that really helped promote their names and the messages that they were trying to get out. So even if they lost 2 days, I think they still had that opportunity to put that final push in and sort of talk about the things they want to accomplish.
Yeah, and you know, not only did they have the snow issue, but they've also had the issue surrounding Emilio's campaign.
Right.
Now, he just had his platform editor step down and not endorse him anymore. And Emilio was very, very defensive last night in his debate. Yes. How do you think that really influenced student voters today? Do you think it really is going to change the polls tonight, or what do you think that's going to look like?
I think the buzz is sort of changed the way that people view Emilio. Mm-hmm. You know, when his platform manager comes out and says, hey, I think that you've been more focused on national attention than the issues that are really facing UNC students. And that strikes a nerve with people, you know, because that has been one of the big things that he's ran on, that he is so nationally, well, not nationally known. He's a national lobbyist, and he has that experience. So I think now that people are asking whether he's focused on UNC, he's really got to go back to that, those campaign promises that he's made, that he will be listening to students and he will be taking their input more than anything.
Right. And this platform editor, Ishmael Bishop, did say that he was feeling like, you know, he was trying to promote his activist career.
Right.
And what do you think his strategy needs to be, or should have been in this last week, to really switch the focus back to the platform and not so much on the identity of who Emilio is? I mean, there's no way you can deny his identity, right? You know, he came out last night and he said, hey, I am gay, I am undocumented, I can't change my identity, I can't change who I am. But how does he switch the focus away from that and onto the platform and the important issues?
Well, I think, you know, with what you just said, that's how he did it. He acknowledged those things, but what he really focused on last night was his plans, was the way he's going to get input on the issues that people care about. And again, he didn't even mention Ishmael in the debate last night. I know it seemed like it was on his mind, but he didn't speak of it at all. So I think that was a really smart move on his part.
And another tough thing for him is that now all of the previous candidates that lost last week are now backing Andrew Powell, and that's kind of like another hurdle he has to face. You know, how do you think he's going to manage that with all this other criticism that's coming in?
I mean, I think all he can do at this point is just hope for the best, because I think they've both put in a very good campaign. And, you know, even now, I don't know exactly who released it, but today there was a video of the president of the Young Democrats and the president of the College Republicans, where they both came together and said that they endorsed Andrew instead of Emilio. While that doesn't mean that the Young Democrats do not, as a group, don't endorse Emilio, I think that that says something.
Now, the coalition did not directly back, like we just said, they didn't endorse anyone. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because it was thrown together very quickly. This is a new organization, and you know, a debate during the runoff is very rare. They said it was the first one to ever be held. We aren't so sure about that, but we know it hasn't happened very often. So I think that they didn't really have the time to come together and decide how they wanted to pick a candidate to endorse and what that process would look like.
Well, thank you for that. For right now, we're going to go and toss to Stephanie Lopez, our reporter live outside of the Board of Elections. Stephanie, what's going on over there?
Well, I'm at the Board of Elections in the Union Annex, and I'm here with the Vice Chair of the Board of Elections, Sachin Santana. Sachin, why are the elections today, the runoff elections, why should we expect something a little bit different that we saw in the last election, as far as time?
Well, in these elections, it's a candidate has to win outright, because the runoff elections happen with two candidates, and so there won't be any of the counting the write-in votes or dealing with any of the process that happens there. And so through the student life elections, a candidate has to win outright, and so the process doesn't take nearly as long this time around.
And about how many people do we have running for office this time in the runoffs?
Well, we have 5 different runoff elections happening right now: the student body president, the senior class reps, RHA president, 2 congressional districts, 8 and 11. And so 2 folks running, or 2 sets of people running for each set of office, and the results should be out very shortly. It shouldn't take too long at all.
Do you have kind of an approximate for the people who are anxious at home waiting?
I don't have an exact time, but it shouldn't be nearly as long as last time. Like I said, there should be outright winners this time around, and it won't be too long at all for those who are anxious. No worries.
And as far as the previous election goes, I know that there was one candidate, or who in one case may have had more votes than another, a significant portion. Now in the runoff, the other candidates, if they don't have such a significant portion, do they still have a shot to kind of turn the election around?
I mean, we do have, the elections can always swing either way. It's very difficult to predict them based off the general election and how these special elections will go, and so I don't think that's at all a good indicator. And so I think you start from a clean slate this time around, and anything's possible in the next few minutes.
Alrighty, Sachin, well, thank you so much for joining us. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Stephanie. Now let's get back to those candidates who are anxiously waiting for the votes to be tabulated. One of them will soon be your new student body president. We'll take a closer look at their platforms. First up, Andrew Powell.
Powell got 28% of the vote last week, as we mentioned, and he's a junior economics, math, and entrepreneurship major. It's a lot.
Yeah.
He's been endorsed by UNC College Republicans, the RHA, Di-Phi Debate Society, UNC Out-of-State Association, and here's something new. Both Nikita Shambasani and Winston Howes, the two candidates that were eliminated in last week's race. And we're going to take it to Megan Hahn as she reports.
Powell's campaign message is a simple one: keep tuition costs down.
We are obviously facing some big challenges in regards to affordability and making sure that we can guarantee that we will meet 100% demonstrated need for all students. If the financial trajectory of the university right now continues, that might not be a reality within the next 5 years.
Improving relations between the town of Chapel Hill and the student body is another major focus of Powell's campaign.
For example, the town of Chapel Hill has a requirement that not more than 4 students live together in a single family house, and that prevents a lot of students from living with their friends or making housing more affordable.
Powell spent time meeting with students to discuss issues important to them. He says sexual assault prevention is at the forefront of these issues.
You know, I think it's time that student government really did something about sexual assault on campus.
Powell hopes to leave a lasting legacy at UNC if elected student body president.
I couldn't stand to look back 10 years from now and think that I could have made a difference and passed on it. So that's really what motivates me to try and do this.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Megan Hahn.
And Andy Willard, the assistant university editor, is back from the Daily Tar Heel. Andy, let's talk a little bit more about Andrew Powell's platform.
Right.
Now, his focus a lot is on the blended learning.
Yes.
Now, what do you think about this? I think that it could cut tuition costs, right? But
yeah.
How would it work with, learning and going forward as a student?
Well, I don't think we really know at this point. The problem is that not many UNC classrooms do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has data from Rita Balaban, who teaches economics here, and she said that it was a great success. But then last night during the debate, there was a moment when someone talked about how much they disliked their flipped classroom. And, what are you going to do when students don't really respond to that kind of idea? So I think we won't know until he actually is able to implement it, whether it would be good or bad for learning.
Right, and another thing on that too is where you don't really know how it's going to work is his implementation for addressing sexual assault here on campus and kind of changing how LFIT course curriculum will incorporate some of those policies and education about sexual assault. How do you think he's going to be able to do with that?
Well, I think he's done a great job so far because he has already passed that measure within the Interfraternity Council to get, I think it's one act training. Yes, that was it, for all the members. And then, so his next idea to get LFIT training for all incoming freshmen. I think that'd be a great approach. And since he's already had success in getting that implemented, I'd like to see if he could do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think about it in comparison to Emilio's platform on sexual assault?
Well, with that, I think if we're keeping score, I'd have to say it goes to Andrew on there because he has a few more solid ideas. I do appreciate Emilio saying that he wants to hear what students have to say about it, but I'd like to see action. I'd like to see a set goal in mind as to, when I get that student input, what do I want to do with it? And I haven't really seen that from Emilio.
And another solid idea that Andrew has for implementation is wanting to create the Common App that students can have to access and kind of be educated about student organizations.
Right.
And I think it's funny because now Winston Howes is backing him, kind of like the tech kid whiz from before, is kind of with him on that with the app component. So how do you think that could be a good thing, having the app work with student organizations?
It'd be great because I know the one we have currently it's kind of hard to navigate and it's also hard to upkeep, or so it seems, because several of the organizations that are on there, it doesn't seem like the information is actually up to date. So if they could make an alternative phone application to use, that would be a great tool for students.
And it would probably, limit the amount of student government. I know he's talking about going from, to make 6 major policies. How do you see that going forward and how they would be able to handle that?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it would have to go under, shrinking a staff from 35 to 6 is a big leap. So he's going to have to figure out who's responsible for what. And then within that, so what does that app for students fit into? Is there going to be a student advocate in his group that will handle all of that? I think he really needs to figure out what these 6 positions are going to be doing.
Right.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Annie. We'll be back with you in a second. And on to another student body president candidate who asked for your vote today. He's gotten quite some attention lately, making headlines both in Chapel Hill and across the country. That's Emilio Vicente.
He secured 41% of the vote last Tuesday, and you might think he has an advantage tonight. Well, will he walk away a winner? We'll know in a few minutes. Our Emily Palmer has his story.
When he's not campaigning, you can often find him marching for reform, or featured in the New York Times, or tweeted by actress Eva Longoria. Why all the buzz? If elected, Emilio Vicente would make history. He'd be UNC's first undocumented, Latino, and openly gay student body president. But Vicente says he didn't run to make history.
I understand what it likes to feel like you don't have a voice. And that's why I always go back to we should listen to students and not about students.
Vicente says as president, he'll host open forums to include students in conversation.
Engaging as many students as possible and making them realize that they have a voice in the Carolina community.
Vicente has made his voice heard when it comes to immigration advocacy, but he says there's more to his election campaign than immigration reform. Much more.
I'm not a single issue candidate because I do not live a single issue life.
His platform includes suggestions for issues like sexual assault, tuition hikes, and athletic scandals.
We can only fully address those issues if students are part of the conversation, especially the students who are most directly affected.
For now, Vicente waits. He's still a student with an exam right before Election Day. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Palmer.
So, Andy, coming back to looking at Emilio more closely, he seems to have some big ideas about sexual assault as well, wanting everyone to be one-act trained and having friendlier policies towards that community. You know, what do you think he'll be doing for that?
I think his whole approach to sexual assault sort of fits in with his approach to student government. Because last night, I know he said student government doesn't work in a silo. It's not, a vacuum cut off from the rest of campus. So these approaches like sexual assault, he wants them trained just as much as anyone else on campus, so they can be leaders. And I think that that's a pretty good way to get the word out there about the resources.
And another interesting thing on that, I noticed, and we mentioned this earlier, that Landon Gamble was there last night. Not only was she there, she's supporting Emilio in his platform on sexual assault. How do you think that other students are going to take that and look at that? If someone, I mean, she was really involved in all these sexual assault issues last year.
Big figure.
Very big figure.
I just don't know at this point how many more endorsements they can handle,
Yeah.
I mean, Emilio has fallen behind in them, but Andrew has gotten so many. I don't know particularly who follows her that closely to know. Not that she isn't very knowledgeable about the subject, but as far as who's going to vote based on her opinion, I'm not sure who looks to her for that.
Right, and another thing big for Emilio is how he wants to lobby and have these listening sessions with the state legislature as far as dealing with tuition. They're a little less, I would say, concrete just in what we've read as Powell's are, but what do you think kind of is one of those big things for him in that area?
I'd say that's one of the hardest parts of being the student body president is trying to lobby these big groups where you don't have that strong voice, like the Board of Governors, like the North Carolina General Assembly. But I hope, with all the connections that he has, and with Chancellor Folt, he also has a strong relationship with her. So I feel like if you could bring some of those ideas to her and they could approach the Board of Governors together, they could get a lot accomplished.
Right, and I know that he mentioned last night in the debate, he had been meeting with Chancellor Folt a couple times yesterday and in the previous weeks. But he also is being criticized for not having the student government experience. So do you think that's really going to hurt him?
Well, I'm laughing because last night that question was brought up and he said,
exactly.
It's not rocket science.
And rocket science is learnable, right?
Yeah, so anything. I mean, like you said, you jump in and I think you do the best you can do and you learn as you go because nobody's been student body president until you're elected to it. So, I mean, if you had, Nikita's the only one with any executive branch experience, and I get that, but there are plenty of people with that he could bring onto his team that could help him out. And then while he's trying to navigate those waters, go to them for advice as to how to approach some of these issues.
And I guess those with experience, because they're backing Powell, whatever, it kind of doesn't. It's kind of another barrier he has to get past with all these people or not these people, but Nikita, who's had experience, is now kind of in the Powell camp. So that's going to be a.
Well, I'd say she might have the most experience on the federal or on the executive branch, but I think there are other people who might be willing to come up and be on Emilio's team and try to help him make Carolina better.
Right. Well, thank you for right now. We'll be back with you in a little bit.
Thanks, Andy.
We're still awaiting the results. Let's go back out to the Board of Election headquarters where Stephanie Lopez is standing by. Stephanie.
Well, some exciting news for everyone who's been waiting. I know that last time when we had the general election, we had to wait quite a bit of time to hear some results, and they had a lot of offices to count. Well, this time, we've got about 10 minutes left until they announce the results of the runoff election. So stick around, stay tuned, and stay here past the break because we'll be bringing you all of those results. Back to you guys.
Thanks for that update, Stephanie. And while we're waiting for those results, we're going to take a look back at the election coverage.
We're going to come back with a sports report, and that improbable win the Heels got last night in Tallahassee. That's coming up next.
Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org. Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
That's low. That's low.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Welcome back to our special runoff episode of Carolina Week. I'm Madison Way. After an impressive win against Pittsburgh on Saturday, the UNC men's basketball team was back in action last night as they traveled down to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. The Seminoles jumped out to an early 17-3 lead, but Bryce Johnson and Kennedy Meeks battled down low to keep the Heels in the game. The two combined for 23 of UNC's 33 first-half points, including this bucket by Meeks, to cut the lead to 3 going into the second half. Meeks finished the game with a career-high 23 points, making 11 of 12 shots from the field. Marcus Page added 16 second-half points to help the Heels take the lead and secure an 81-75 win, despite a 0-point effort from star forward James Michael McAdoo. It was the Tar Heels' 7th consecutive win. The number 17 North Carolina women's basketball team faced off against 10th-ranked NC State Sunday in State's annual Hoops for Hope event, a game dedicated to raising breast cancer awareness. In front of a packed Pink House at Reynolds Coliseum, the Tar Heels and the Wolfpack put on a show. Carolina and NC State exchanged blows in a highly competitive first half, with neither side giving anything up. The second half looked like a repeat of the first until freshman Diamond DeShields decided to take control. DeShields was on a mission, scoring 3 after 3 after 3. She ended the game with a freshman record 38 points and handed NC State their first home loss of the season. Associate coach Andrew Calder spoke about his star player.
Diamond's pull-up game, I think, is the best in college basketball. It's really hard for anybody to say that someone else has got a better pull-up game than Diamond DeShields.
The Shields and the Heels travel to Virginia Thursday to take on UVA and will take on second-ranked Notre Dame on February 27th. No matter the sport, Carolina athletes always strive to top their competition from both the ACC and across the country. But for a pair of hurdlers on the track and field team, the battle to be the best starts when lining up at practice. Evan Badler reports.
Earlier this season, Devin Carter recorded the third fastest 60-meter hurdle time in UNC history. The next week, teammate Roy Smith bested Carter's time by 1/100th of a second. After 4 years as teammates, Smith and Carter are accustomed to the friendly competition.
Deep inside, I mean, we're both teammates, so I'll be happy for him if he ran faster than me. But when it comes down to it, I mean, it's kind of a rivalry.
We have that friendship. We have that competition level. We know we go at each other's neck all the time, so it's all in sport.
Sprints coach Steve Rubin says neither hurdler is satisfied.
It's a nice thing to be able to say we're third and fourth all-time at the University of North Carolina, but at the same time, it's really just sort of a marker along the road.
Both look to contend on the national level, and Carter knows having some competition in practice pays off.
You look at a lot of other universities who have, 1, 2, 3 guys in the finals of a heat, and it's because they all train together so they all can feed off each other.
While Smith holds a narrow edge in times at the moment, there's still one question to be answered.
Who's faster? I would say I'm faster. That's what I would say, but I mean, any given day over the hurdle, some things can happen.
I mean, I'm ready whenever. We could race in snow, rain. I'm just ready at any time.
They'll have to settle the rivalry in the same way they started it, on the track. From Chapel Hill, I'm Evan Badler.
And that's Madison Way with your sports update. Thanks so much, Madison. But we have breaking news right now. The results are in. We're going to toss live to Stephanie. Stephanie.
Well, after a general election and a runoff, we finally have some results, and the results are in.
So, for the runoff election for the spring 2014 general election, with a record-setting 7,557 voters, these are the results. For District 8, Bruce Ward has won the seat with 161 votes and 83.85%. For District 10, William Black has won with 77 votes and 84.61%. For senior class president and vice president, it was very close, but Sasha Seymour and Alexis White have won with 852 votes and 50.08%. Rachel Gentry and Ahmad Saad came in second with 849 votes. For the presidency of the Residence Hall Association, Taylor Bates has won with 575 votes, or with 1,575 votes and 50.92%. Austin Glock Andrews has come in second with 1518 votes and 49.8%. For the office of Student Body President and the leader of our university for this next year, Andrew Powell has won with 4,760 votes and 62.9%. Emilio Vicente has come in second with 2,681 votes and 35.47%. Thank you.
Well, you've heard it here first, folks. Back to you guys in the studio.
Well, there you have it. Andrew Powell is your new student body president, and he'll be with us in just a little bit on set to discuss his win. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. Let's catch them before it's too late. To start helping students in your community, visit boostup.org.
I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6. To me, being the first person to go to college, it's like setting a standard, you know? My little brother is 8 years old now. I challenge his curiosity. I challenge him to dream. I have to paint a picture for him that he can look up to and live up to and possibly be better than. My name is Jaquez, and I am your dividend.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
This song was created with heartbeats of children in need. Find out how it can help frontline health workers bring hope to millions of children at everybeatmatters.org.
And we're back. The results are in. We have a student body president. Andrew Powell is here with us. Andrew Powell, student body president. What does that sound like to you?
Oh my goodness. Still in shock. My hands are kind of shaking. I really, we were behind in the first election, had high hopes, but very, uncertain expectations. So I just feel so honored and lucky, really, and fortunate to be in this position.
Now, the difference in your win was 3 votes. That's pretty crazy. I mean, to you, what is that like coming back from the percentages that were in the last election?
Wait, sorry? The difference?
The difference in the votes for you winning was three votes.
Really?
The difference, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wait, I thought they said 60% something.
I think
maybe I totally heard it wrong. However,
anyway,
whether it's 3 or 300 votes, I feel extraordinarily fortunate and am just so excited for the year ahead. And have so much respect for Emilio, for his team. They ran an unbelievable campaign. And I feel so fortunate right now.
And you had the other candidates that lost last week, kind of endorse you. Do you think that helped you at all in this runoff?
Of course. I mean, both Nikita and Winston have so much respect on campus. They had amazing teams with fantastic ideas, and to have their voice of support, I'm sure was very beneficial and very helpful.
Now, this last week for the runoff, you didn't really get a lot of time to campaign with the snowstorm. Last night was really the only debating you got to do, or any sort of campaigning, was last night and today. Do you think that the debate really just gave you that extra push to go through and pull it through tonight?
Yeah, I think the snowstorm was great because then both of us got to rest up a little bit since we didn't have to be out in the cold 24/7. And yeah, I think the debate was a really great event. I'm glad that people organized it, and it was a real discussion of the issues. I think both Emilio and I felt like it was a great opportunity to talk more about what we care about, and it gave 200 students, I think, were in attendance, gave them a great chance to learn more.
Did you walk away feeling like, oh, I've got it? How did you feel when you left that debate?
No, I still right now I'm in shock. I mean, Emilio really ran an incredible campaign. He's an amazing candidate and an amazing classmate, and I am just honored and feel fortunate to have won.
So there's a little bit of rest time, kind of a little party, a little celebration, but then it's back to work. Then it's really implementing and taking this full force. Kind of what. Well, it's early, but what's your plan?
It starts in April, right?
I mean, it's soon.
It does. It actually, it kind of starts tomorrow because Christy Lambden was there, and he told both me and Emilio, whichever us won, he would be meeting with us tomorrow to begin delegating tasks. So he, I know, has a lot of work on his plate, and he's excited to pass it off to the new person.
And we're also hearing that you did. It was 62.9%. You were right. I'm sorry. It was not by 3 votes. Correction on that.
Sorry.
Now, I do have to ask, have you called your mom yet?
No, I have not called my mom, but I feel my phone buzzing in my pocket.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure there are lots of texts coming in.
And you got to get in touch with Bill and Melinda Gates too to get things on the ball here.
I have that email drafted. I just need to hit send, so it'll go out tonight.
It's been waiting. It's been waiting for the victory to hit send, and now it'll finally be there. Well, is there anything you want to say to the university now and the students that you'll be serving? Kind of your.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honored, very appreciative, and excited to begin serving as soon as possible. I'm so thankful to the university community. Having 7,000 students vote, I mean, that's really remarkable. And the presence at the debate last night showed there's a lot of interest, a lot of engagement, and that's really all that we can ask for as candidates, is for students to think about the ideas, think about what's best for the university, and that will be best for the university when you have that level of engagement for students. So just a sincere and heartfelt thank you to everyone that was involved.
Well, congratulations.
Great. Thanks so much. We enjoyed having you. Congratulations. We wish you the best. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thanks so much.
All right. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.
Good night.